very fair playing field for everybody, so we don't leave the room during the speech, and we don't have our cell phones going off, and no talking is really quite handy, so everybody has the same room to perform in. And now, without further ado, I'm so excited for our test speaker. She is our district program PR manager, public relations manager. She's the lady that if anybody needs something done, they ask Trixie, and she gets it done. The title of her speech is The Transformation of Trauma. The Transformation of Trauma. Trisha, Trixie, Hunter-Merrill.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guest. Today, I would like to talk to you about the transformation of trauma. Now, some people think that trauma means large, huge, grandiose things that you have had to overcome, trials, adversities. I want to share with you those things a bit later, but I want to bring to your attention other traumas that most people fail to think about. These traumas that I'm speaking of are what I call the lies that we tell ourselves. These come from sometimes our childhood. They come from 10 years ago, a year ago. It could even be last week or maybe this morning. What are these that I'm speaking of? Those things that maybe someone said to you that really didn't need to stick with you, but it did. I'm talking about things like, you're ugly, you're fat, you're never going to make it in the startup business. A Toastmaster, you can't even talk in front of a mirror, come on. These are things that people say without realizing what they're saying to us. Now, we've heard that old adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words don't ever hurt me. Wrong. What do we learn in Toastmasters? We pick word of the day, and we try to use it because words matter. We follow our ahs, ums, nobody count them, because words matter, right? These things matter, and people say them. Sometimes they mean to be mean, sometimes they don't, but they stick. They matter. We develop these ideas in our head that because that person said, you're fat, maybe at 8 years old, you decided, yep, I'm fat. I have body dysmorphia now, I don't like to look in the mirror. Not good. Maybe someone said you're ugly, and you are extremely beautiful, but because that person said that, you've developed that as a truth. That's why I call it the lies that we tell ourselves. They're not truths. They're just things that we took on, and we took them inside of us to heart, to our psyche, to our gut. And we said, yep, I must be fat. I must be ugly. That's right, I can't do a startup business, and I'll never be a Toastmaster. Those are not reality. Now, I'm not diminishing the larger things, but I do call these smaller traumas. They still affect us, and they affect our lives. The larger traumas that I'm speaking of are sadly things that have happened to me, and that maybe are still happening to me. When I was younger, I was molested. I unfortunately have gone through rape. I suffered addiction. I've been homeless twice. And now I'm fighting cancer again. These are some pretty heavily weighted traumas. So how do we transform from these traumas? How do we get over that and get past that victim stage that we hear so much about? I want to share with you an acronym that some people consider a coping mechanism. It's a mindfulness tactic. And this is how I feel like I transformed from these traumas, and that you may also be able to think of this and transform from your traumas. The acronym is called RAIN, like the rain that falls from the sky. R-A-I-N. R. R stands for recognize. You have to recognize, perhaps, that maybe you have adopted those lies that we tell ourselves. Maybe you have taken that on as a truth. Maybe you feel a victim stage, and what is making you feel that way? Recognize that those things are happening to you first, and that maybe that's why you're going through some of the struggles that you are. By recognizing them, we start acknowledging them, and I want you to recognize, is that really a truth, or is that a lie that you told yourself? The second of that is A. Now, depending on what mindfulness training you take, some will say A is allow, and some will say A is acceptance. Either way, I want to speak on the allow aspect of it, and I'm not saying allow yourself to believe those things. I want you to allow yourself to feel the feels. It's going to hurt to go through those things. When you start recognizing and making some realizations, that's not easy, but you're on the road to success and road to that process. Allow yourself to take that in and to be okay. It happened. I'm not to blame. It wasn't my fault that these things happened, but they did happen. And allow yourself to feel whatever that feeling is. You can cry. You can be mad. You can stop if you want to. Allow yourself to feel those feels. The third one of these is I. I stands for investigate. And by investigating, you investigate how that makes you feel and how you can move past it. The last of these that I want to move on to get the RAIN acronym is N, which is non-identifying. By non-identifying, you literally are stepping back and figuratively stepping back and talking to yourself as a friend. Now, there are times that I literally had to step back and say, I need to deal with these things. Take time to talk to yourself like your friend would. Would your friend say, yep, you're ugly? No. They would say, you're beautiful, you're amazing, you're wonderful. So I want you to take these steps, these processes, these acronyms, RAIN. And remember, RAIN, like the rain. Because you can go through these processes. You can handle it. You can be strong enough. And I want you to remember that you are all fabulous, and you can transform from trauma. Madam Toastmaster.